Om Shri Sai Ram. Loving pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Respected elders, sisters and brothers, welcome to this month's edition of Samarpan. Samarpan, as you all know, is an offering by the alumni of Sri Sathya Sai Educational Institutions, organized across various places, across the globe, in fact. Yesterday, which was early morning India time today, had the first Samarpan in Toronto. Toronto had its first Samarpan session just now. So as you all know, we have been having wonderful speakers who have been sharing their memories and the lessons learned at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. In this series, today we have Dr. Sainath Manikonda, or Sainath sir, which is more appropriate for me to address him because he was, although I didn't study under him because of a different department, he was a teacher when I was studying there. Dr. Sainath is an accomplished speaker. So more than the academic things that we introduce as part of the Sai family, it is their number of years that they have spent with Swami and the experiences that they have had that speaks more volumes. From that perspective, Sainath sir had the privilege or the rarest privilege of being as a close servitor of Bhagwan in his residence. It is said that being born when Avatar walks on earth is a great opportunity. And among those people who are born during the time of Avatar, the rarer are the people who recognize the divinity and start following him. Little more rarer are the people who had the opportunity of living with him. As Bhagwan says, living with God is true education. When I say living in the educational institutions or the hostels. And rarer is the opportunity of being literally the Sevadal of Bhagwan, attending to his physical needs and taking care of him. Sir was taking care of Swami for close to 20 years. I mean, taking care of Swami is not a right word because he takes care of everyone. But he got the privilege of being with Swami and looking at various facets of his divinity. Coming to his academic accomplishments and what he is, Dr. Sainath, after finishing his MSc in physics, he completed his PhD in nuclear physics in 1995 from Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. And he continued to teach in Bhagwan's institutions. So he was there for close to 23 years at Prashantalayam, both as student and as a teacher further. Subsequently, because his father was not keeping well, Swami had commanded him to go to Hyderabad and take care of his father. And that's where Sir had to leave the portals of the institution. And even after that, after moving out of the institute, he has occupied wonderful positions in the academia. Currently, he is working as the dean in ICFI and he lives in Hyderabad. During my student days, I recollect that there was no Dashara, there was no Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha season, or there was no sports meet season without Sir addressing us, rather Swami blessing him to address us. I guess Sir would have given at least 50 to 70 talks in Swami's divine presence. He's one of the wonderful speakers, and for people, many students who just joined the institution, Sir's speeches were very clear. Few of my classmates who had come from poor English backgrounds have told how it was easy to follow Sir's speeches, and it would be full of wit and humor and lot of lessons for us. I'm sure we'll be having a wonderful satsang for the next few minutes. And despite the showers, I'm sure many more people are going to join us. And it was, we were wondering, it's going to be, it was really cloudy, and we thought it's going to be raining cats and dogs. And I'm sure now we know that it's going to be raining lot of experiences and lessons for us. Without much ado, I'd like to call upon Dr. Sainath. Sainath, sir, please, the stage is yours.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering my loving pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Elders, sisters and brothers, it gives me very great privilege that Bhagwan has blessed me to be here to share a few of my experiences with all of us in this lovely satsang. I'm generally a little scared about introductions, primarily because they tend to build you up and give you a halo, which is not exactly the real you. It's my personal feeling that when we come to a satsang, all of us are the same, because each one of us here is basically sharing our experience with the other, so that all of us can help each other and go on this progression on the spiritual path to our destiny. So my humble request to everyone is, let us retain that and let us be in the mood of just sharing Bhagwan's experiences and love on this evening. I would like to begin with an incident which I remember Professor Kasturi told us. I heard later that it's also recorded in one of the books. But Professor Kasturi shared with us when we were students. Professor Kasturi used to come to the institution quite frequently, and later on we also had an opportunity to talk to him personally before he passed away. Bhagwan was visiting Varanasi, Benares, and for Hindus we all know how sacred Benares is. For many of the Hindus, it is the place where they would like to depart from their earthly sojourn and reach the lotus feet of the Lord. And being able to get Bhagwan in Varanasi is an opportunity which he was looking forward to. Because Swami had sent word and told, Kasturi, you be ready, I'm taking you with me. So in the Varanasi, before they went, one of the days in which they were supposed to be at Varanasi happened to be a Paurnami day. So Professor Kasturi was looking forward to the occasion. So he said, in Benares on Paurnami day, I must get a mantra from the Divine Lord. You know, what greater good fortune can be there than that? So early morning, 4 o'clock, he got up, went and took a dip in the holy Ganges, applied liberal vibhuti, everything, fasted from morning, wouldn't eat. Now Swami has a knack. Many times he used to tell us, that unless, he tests us, he doesn't get the taste of it. The truth is, he doesn't need the taste. We have to get a taste of what it is to ultimately reach the goal. So he tests us for that. Like, no teacher would like to declare you has passed unless, he or she has tested us first. So Swami was like that. And he was a master at throwing obstacles when you make a decision. He was a master at that. So Professor Kasturi decided I'm going to fast the whole day. So early morning, Professor Kasturi was seated right next to Swami. Swami was having whatever little he has and he was putting all kind of eatables into others' plates. Professor Kasturi sitting right next to him. Swami made sure that some of the most delicious items were cooked and they were served. He was watching Professor Kasturi not eating, but he was not commenting anything. So Swami said, maybe the Rahu Kalam is on, maybe the time is not good. Let's wait for the afternoon. So he fasted even in the afternoon. Afternoon, same thing happened. Professor Kasturi landed next to Swami. Swami was having a little bit. He was making sure that the choicest items were being served to everyone, nothing about the mantra. By night, Professor Kasturi's stomach was totally grumbling. And most importantly, he was very sad. I came with a sankalpa and Swami, whom I hold with so much of love with me, he is not responding. So night, he was again made sit next to Swami. This time, Swami's thigh was on Professor Kasturi's thigh. And the food items were going on. Professor Kasturi was not eating. Swami must have decided, poor fellow, it's enough. And he said, Em Kasturi, em tinatledu. He will tell it so beautifully, you will really fall for it. What Kasturi, you're not eating anything. Then Professor Kasturi stared at Swami and he burst out crying. Yemi, that Swami mantra. What mantra? Said Swami mantra, I was praying to you for a mantra. Then Swami looked at him, now here follows the lesson. Because Swami used to always tell, he never ever does, even the so-called tempering which is going on right now, without a lesson it would never happen. So Swami mantra, what mantra? Swami, I'm praying to you mantra from Puttaparthi itself. I didn't get it till now. And then Swami looked at Professor Kasturi and said, what is the purpose of a mantra? He said, Swami, to get close to God. Then Swami looked at their bodies touching each other and said, how much more closer do you want to get? But the ardent devotee that Professor Kasturi was, he understood in a trice what Swami was hinting. It was not the physical body Swami was talking about. That is the first step. But more than that is the spiritual harmony. So this mantra, what we do is, different mantras exist for different purposes. So depending on how close we wish to get to God, some of us wish to see Him as a friend. Some of us wish to see Him as a mother. Some of us wish to see Him as a father. Some of us just want Him to be there around whenever for our convenience. So according to that, the divine mantra comes. The effort comes accordingly. So the mantra that we are talking about is the syllabus which Bhagwan prescribes. The test for us to pass so that we reach the goal. Now the goal is not described by Bhagwan. That's the best thing here. We describe the goal. We have to choose how we wish to see God, and He gives us the direction accordingly. So this is a beautiful thing. That is, these mantras what we talk about are the syllabus which Bhagwan prescribes, which we have to clear in case we wish to obtain God. Now those of us in the Satsang organization, many of us, our only purpose is we want to experience the bliss of being with God. We want the bliss of being with Bhagwan. So all our activities, whether we call it as satsangs, the Nagar Sankirtans, everything, Seva, most important in the Satsang organization, everything that we do is revolved around that item. I wish to experience the bliss of Bhagwan, of what Bhagwan is. That's the bliss I wish. So there are several topics which Bhagwan prescribes for us. From my experience, I would like to sum them up in 4 major statements and what is the summary of that at the end. So these 4, according to me, are what Bhagwan always said. Many of our students will know. The first one is Tyaja Durjana Samsargam. Tyaja Durjana Samsargam. Bhaja Sadhu Samagamam. Third one, Kuru Punya Mahoratrim. Fourth one is Smara Nityam Anityatam. First one is Tyaja Durjana Samsargam. I remember once when Swami was talking, the MBA students, I see one of my brothers here, the first few batches of MBA, Swami used to call them to the audiovisual room of the university on every Sunday and talk to them. And what pearls of wisdoms on management and general life Swami would share is amazing really. Some of us were fortunate enough to be allowed to sneak in with that group, even though we were not doing our MBA. And in one of the discourses, Swami was talking about Tyaja Durjana Samsargam. And Professor Nanjundaya, who was a translator at that time, told, he translated it, avoid bad company. And Swami with a vehemence looked at him and said, not avoid, run away from bad company. Run away from bad company. See, that is the first major obstacle. Run away from bad company. And Swami is basically particular, not avoid. He wants us to run away from bad company. Now comes a critical question. What is bad company? I remember once somebody was complaining to Swami about in his office some problem was taking place. You'll be surprised at how many mundane problems Swami would address with the devotees. It is not just the spiritual discourse which he would give. There were very mundane matters also he would discuss with devotees. And this particular gentleman was basically, if he was allowed to the possible extent, cursing one of his colleagues in his office for being the reason for all his troubles. స్వామి ఇలాంటి వాడు, స్వామి అలాంటి వాడు, అసలు ఎప్పుడు వచ్చినా నా ఆయన చూస్తేనే చికాకు వస్తుంది స్వామి. మీన్స్ ద మూమెంట్ ఐ సీ హిమ్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ ఐ ఫీల్ సో what you call terrible. I want to avoid him. He creates so much of anger, everything like that. He was cursing. Swami patiently heard him. Then Swami made a very wonderful statement. Vaani durjanudan endukantunnavu, he said. Why are you calling him a durjana? Dushtudu, Swami actually is the word he used. Dushtudan endukantunnavu. Why are you calling him a dushta? And he said, Swami, what else to do? Every time he comes, to the office, his only agenda is to anger me, to irritate me. And he's always trying to pull me down. I had to actually feel very afraid of him. Then Swami made these words come out. Afraid, irritation, anger, all these things he made it come out. Then Swami said, వచ్చే సంవత్సరం కూడా తను మీతోనే పనిచేస్తాడా? Coming year also, will that person work with you only? He said, Swami, how will I know? Then Swami said, now watch it. He said, next year, you don't even know if he is going to be with you or you are going to be with him. You don't even know whether both of you will be alive in this world. It is likely that the following year, you will not see each other for the rest of your life. But the evil quality that he planted in you will continue traveling with you for the rest of your life. So who is the Durjana here, Swami said. Then he told, of course, when another discourse to continue further, he was talking to a few devotees, and when parents were talking to him and they introduced his son and they told him, Swami, he's falling into bad company, you please advise him. Now what I'm telling you now is a continuation of that. Who is the Durjana, Swami asked. The point was very clear. That person will leave, but that krodha, that irritation, everything will continue with us. They become a part of our character. So the Durjana is not him. It is the qualities that we allow to enter in us. Because they will continue with us for the rest of our life till we die. So when Swami was being told about this boy, Swami told him, he said, Swami, I'm trying my best, but I'm surrounded by people. This boy told Swami, I'm surrounded by people who make these qualities come up in me. And then Swami said, Bangaru, if somebody has to enter into your house, how will they come? He said, Swami, I have to open the door. Is there any way they can come in without you opening the door? He said, no, Swami, I have to open the door and I have to let them come in. Then Swami said, these are also like that. Your Hridaya Dwara's control is with you. Your Hridaya Dwara's control is with you. If you choose to close your doors to these feelings, nothing can force them into you. And that is the whole purpose of sadhana. We have to regain control of our heart, of our spiritual heart, so that whatever happens around us, now in the world we are faced with a myriad of feelings, emotions and people who try to do so many things to us. But if we retain the control that I am not going to let those qualities come into me, if we retain the control of what we can let inside of us, then none of these so-called Durjanas can enter us. So that is a very, very great lesson I can tell. So the real Durjana here is the evil qualities which we choose to enable to come into us. I still remember there were some very wonderful conversations. I was privy too, when Swami used to discuss with Mr. Chiranjeev Rao Garu, the late Chiranjeev Rao Garu. So one day he came to Swami, and of course we three boys who were there inside and we were laughing because what he said was true. And he told Swami, devotees are coming nowadays and they're complaining. Swami said, about what? He said, Swami, they're complaining about the ashram environment. Now, wherever they go, people are shouting at them. The permanent residents are behaving very rudely with them. The Sevadal is shouting at them. and accommodation people are yelling at them. So I mean, wherever they go, they are seeing all this kind of feeling. So they're saying this ashram environment is not good at all. Then comes the beauty. Swami stared at Professor Kastur. We three were laughing at the back because everything what they said is happening every day. And Swami has that mischief streak in him. Many times we boys used to think that we are the masters at mischief. He used to beat us ends up. He was very good at that. So and he looked at us like that. We three were struggling to control our laughter. Because you can't laugh. But he saw. And then he asked Chiranjeevi Rao Garu, what environment? Why are they complaining like that? Then he repeated Swami like this. And then Swami made a very powerful statement. Every person, everything in this world that you and I see around us, means us, is because he willed it that way. Because he willed it that way. That is Swami said. ఆశ్రమంలో కాదు ప్రపంచంలో వాళ్ళు ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళినా వాళ్ళకి చెప్పు. వాళ్ళ చుట్టూ పరిసరాలు మనుషుల్ని స్వామి ఒప్పుకుంటేనే అలా అవుతుంది. That environment will be created only if Swami has willed it. Now comes a question. Why should Swami will such a horrible environment for us? He is always supposed to do good for us. This comes a beauty. There is nothing like a horror. Then Swami continued. Any environment that God has created is because He knows what He is doing. That is the environment required for your spiritual uplift. That is why God has granted you that environment. That means, let us not blame. That means environment is going to be like this only. If we see that a person is constantly irritating us, it is because God has put that person there so that we realize we are capable of irritation. And we should also realize to what levels of irritation we can come to. If a person is always angering us, then God has put him there because He has to show us that we are capable of the anger and to what depths we can get angry. It is for us to realize that is why the environment is there. That was a very powerful statement Swami said. So let them not blame the ashram environment. It is there because Swami has willed it like that. No environment that Swami creates is bad. It is always good, good, good. Manchidi, 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 Swami said. It was such a powerful statement. We three fellows who were laughing at the back, we suddenly realized, my God, what a blunder we made in laughing, thinking like this. There is so much of story hidden behind it, so much of inner meaning hidden behind it. So that gave us a very important thing, and it's a lesson I try to practice even now because it took place right in front of my eyes. It had hit me very powerfully. So many times when people are there, yes, we burst out at them, but I always try to control myself. Always try to control myself with this. He is there because like this. And yes, it's not that I have mastered the art and I have become a yogi, but I fail. I regularly fail. But that has not stopped me from again coming back and doing it. Because that's a lesson that I wish to imbibe in my life. So therefore, the Durjana, whose samsargam we are supposed to run away from, is always sitting within us only. It is not outside, it is within us, and that is what we have to watch out for. Next comes the second one, Bhaju Sadhu Samhagamam. Sadhu Jivis. We have to identify the Sadhu Jivis and we have to make sure that we seek their company all the time. Now, if Durjanas are the evil qualities which we have allowed inside, obviously our friends, our true friends, are real sadhus, Sadhu Jivis. They are also within us. Now the question comes, where are they? Where are they is the next question. So, in the spiritual parlance, we see many times that the heart of the human being is given a very important place. It is the heart, the spiritual heart, that is given the prominent place, which is where we say that the God resides inside each one of us. That means the Sadhu Jivis are always within us in the form of God, our conscious, and they are speaking to us all the time. But if the Durjanas also are residing with them, their noise is always higher. We cannot hear the Sadhu Jivi's voice counseling us. So the heart of the human being is a very powerful instrument as far as spirituality is concerned. I'm reminded of a very beautiful incident. There was a very good painter who had exhibited his paintings. People were praising the paintings like anything. One of the paintings was very interesting. It had the heart-shaped structure and God, a radiant personality whom this artist had painted, had his hand on the heart like this, and this artist had portrayed it like that. There was a heart there, and this glorious personality had his hand on the heart and he had stopped. So people went and asked the artist, what does this painting mean? Heart and this glorious personality had his hand like this. Then the artist explains that is the hand of the Lord. He is trying to come into our hearts. He is trying to come into our heart. Then the artist was asked, you see, God has to enter your heart, but there is no door. There is no handle. How do you expect the Lord to enter your heart? Then the artist explained. He said, the heart of the human being can be opened only from inside. It cannot be opened from outside. That is why there is no handle there. It can be opened only from inside. So who has to open from inside? The owner of the house, that is us. We have to decide, Lord, I am opening the house door for you. Please come in. Because if he comes in, the Durjanas will run out on their own. Nobody has to chase them out. They will run out on their own. So that is the significance of the human heart. It has to be so pious. I still remember in 1989, we were going to Kodaikanal. Swami had procured a bus for us. Swaraj Mazda bus. Unfortunately, that bus was disposed immediately after our trip was over because apparently its balance was not proper. It had other meanings, but I will not go into it right now. So Swami bought that bus and he was so excited. He was showing us, there were 32 of us, 36 of us, I'm sorry. 26 of us, I'm sorry. 26 of us who were there, and apart from teachers and all, and we were all supposed to go in the bus. So in the bus, when we were all seated, Swami showed us this new bus. I bought it for you people. We will all go to Kodaikanal in this bus. So we were very happy. Then Swami showed us a huge pile of murukkus, tetra packs, and so going with Swami on a trip is experience in itself. He's so worried that the boys will get famished out of hunger and of thirst. That he packs the vehicles with all kind of eatables which you just cannot eat. And after all that, when he would stop at devotee's house and see none of us had any place to eat, he used to tell them, put more, put more. You cannot waste. So he used to enjoy these kind of things with boys really. So the bus was packed, the rear of the bus was packed, and then Swami said very funnily, if everything is going into the bus and you are all going to sit, if I want to come, where is the place for me? Where will I sit in the bus? And we all got a little overexcited and we said, Swami, you can come anywhere you want. This entire bus is yours. We thought, wow, Swami should be very pleased with this statement. To the contrary, Swami was very upset. His face fell. Because I was standing a little away, I was watching his face fell. And Swami said, what will I do with a lifeless bus? Why don't you tell me you are mine? If you tell you are mine, I will come and sit in your heart. 26 of you plus one Swami in each of your heart, 52 of us will go together. Human heart, he is looking for that. So similarly, it is not our body that he wants. Any work that he gets it done through us as an instrument, he can easily get it done through anybody else. I remember once when Swami was seated, one program was going on, one small sparrow came. There was one piece of hay that had dropped from the top in front of Swami's chair, and there's a photograph of that also incidentally. There's a photograph of that, and Swami was watching the sparrow like that twig like this. There was a twig which had fallen, a small piece of dried weed, and Swami was looking at that like that. 4 or 5 of us were there behind, we were thinking, should we take it? Should we go and take it? Shall we remove it? No, Swami may get upset. This speaker is speaking. Let that speaker finish. Why disturb people? Those kind of thoughts, but we were not moving from there. Suddenly one sparrow appeared from somewhere, trotted to Swami at his feet. Swami can be seen smiling at the sparrow actually, the beautiful photograph, picked up the twig and the sparrow flew away. Swami came back later and he told us, చూసినావా పిచ్చుకొచ్చింది వాళ్ళ. I said, yes Swami, I was behind only. మరి ఏం చేసినావు? He said, means what were you doing sitting behind me? I said, why only me? But the lesson is for me. The lesson is for me. Because 4 of us were seated, why catching only me? But the lesson is meant for certain people to be channeled. It will come only to them. So he said, మరి ఏం చేస్తున్నావు వెనకాల కూర్చుని? He said, I said, Swami, I just stared at him like that. Better to keep quiet. Then, Swami said, Swami seva kuda alage untundi. Swami service also is like that only. If you keep debating for the time, for the money and for the resources, somebody else Swami will find to get the same work done. We were hesitating. Swami got the sparrow to do that work for him. So therefore, he is never short of instruments. He is never short of channels. It is us who have to feel the privilege of being his channels. And if we go therefore and get the work done, we become a part of this kind of thing. So therefore, why did I say that is because That is how Swami basically looks at all of us and tries to utilize us as his channels. And when we start craving the inner voice, which is always speaking to us, which is the actual true sadhu whom we have to look out for, then we become recipients of his grace in this way. The third one is Kuru Punya Mahoratrim. Kuru Punya Mahoratrim. Do meritorious, pious work 24/7. As many times as you want, you should do it. Now, a very interesting question once came up in a satsang I was a part of. They said, if you say that destiny is already destined, our life is already destined by somebody else, then why should we do any activity? Why should we do any activity? If God's grace is everything, if destiny has already decided how we are going to live, then why should I do any activity, and why should I make sure that the activity is done with proper spiritual adherence? Swami narrates a very beautiful story. Matsya Ved, we all know in the Mahabharata, Matsya Ved is going on, Draupadi Swayamvara, and there's an instrument up there which the suitors were supposed to slay so that they can win the hand of Draupadi. Now, the previous day, Lord Krishna comes to Arjuna and he is telling Arjuna, Arjuna, make sure that you have the bow in your hand properly. And make sure that you see only the eye of the fish and nothing else. Don't take the bow right up till your ear. Leave it only slowly. All that. Arjuna heard and he said, I am such a great archer. This person is telling me all these things which I already know. So he patiently heard and he told Krishna, see, if I have to do everything, what are you going to do? Arjuna asked Krishna, see, for so much of time you were sitting and telling me do this, do this, do this. If I have to do everything, then what are you going to do? Krishna makes a very powerful statement. He says, I will do what you can never do. And Arjuna said, and what can that be? Here comes the beauty. He said, I will make sure that there is no breeze when you release the arrow. That only God can do. You and I have no control on the environment around us. That is decided by God. But if we decide to choose and bend our back and become His instruments, He will create the environment that will assist us in doing that. So that is the beauty of the story. So, yatra dhanurdhara Krishna, yatra partho dhanurdhara, yatra yogishwara Krishna, yatra partho dhanurdhara. We are all very familiar with that. That means two things are required. Dhruva nitir matir mama. If you want victory, what must you have? You must have an Arjuna who is ready to wield the bow. You must also have a Krishna who is the Parthasarathi to you. That means our effort, individual effort with God's grace alone ensures victory. God's grace, if it is there alone, Swami has said so many times, Budidalo kosina panniru. That means it is like rainwater that is falling on the ground. If you put a small lota, you will get a grace equivalent to that. If you put a big vessel, you will get a rainwater equivalent to that. So we have to once again decide how much of grace we wish to receive from God. He gives accordingly. So this is the greatness of effort. Our human effort, therefore, should be done knowing fully well that it requires the support of God's grace. So everything when we offer to God, with God's name, with the intimacy of having God with us, then it becomes so easy to execute because victory is assured. Because we are doing it with God's name. We are doing it as a humble offering to the Lord. I still remember a very beautiful experience which one of our brothers once narrated long back. Those were the initial days of the inauguration of the hospital at Puttaparthi and at Whitefield in 2001. And lots of students were involved in shifting the equipment here and there and here. And sometimes these students would be called inside so that Swami will speak to them. And one day when he was speaking to them, Swami asked the students, I hope you are eating properly because you need lots of strength, plenty of work is there. And the boys said, yes, Swami, we are eating normally. And Swami looked at one of the boys whom he used to call Bhimasena and said, Yenra Bhimasena baga tintunava. Means, Bhima, are you eating properly? Well, he said, yes, Swami, I am eating. You are very strong, isn't it? Swami asked him. Swami blesses the students with some sixth sense. He knew something is going to happen. So he very carefully said, Swami, it's all your grace. And Swami said, Adem Kadu. Well, if all of you boys are strong, can you lift the chair on which I am sitting? There were 8 of them. There were 8 boys. He said, can you lift the chair on which I am sitting? Audacious, who would dare do that? But these are the games he used to play with the students. So they were hesitating, they wouldn't want to move. Em parvaledu, nene cheptuna kada randi. Don't worry, I am only telling you, isn't it? Come, try to lift this chair. They tried. The stair wouldn't budge an inch. Refused to move. Swami was holding the chair's handles like this with a steely resolve in his eye, the chair wouldn't move. Then they all took a break. And Swami said, Em parvaledu, malli tayandi. No problem, you please try again. Again they tried, huffing, puffing, panting, sweating. Nothing, the chair wouldn't budge. This time, they got tired. One of the boys, when we are tired, Sairam, we say like that, isn't it? So out of the tiredness, Sairam, he said, chair moved immediately. Swami said, stop, cheating, he said. Why? Because, I told you to lift my chair, I didn't tell you to chant my name. Stop, he said. So immediately, cheating, he said. Then they stopped. And then Swami said, Chusara, Swami per jepte antha sulabhame. The anta sulabhame, that means everything is so easy if you chant Swami's name. Until then, the chair wouldn't budge. Once, however you say, it doesn't matter. The Lord's name is so powerful. You speak it out of anger. Because, when Yudhishthira went to the heavens, he was surprised to see Duryodhana sitting there next to the Lord. Yudhishthira was very upset. He said, how can you have this person sitting here? And the Lord explains, whether in anger or whether in love or whatever, this man thought of me 24/7. That is the power of the Lord's name. So this person was tired, and out of tiredness he said Sai Ram, but that was enough to do the work. So that is the power of the Lord's name whenever we discharge our duty, chanting his name. The environment gets created, and because of that, we get our work done. Here, this is what I meant, that our individual effort as an instrument of Lord with Bhagwan's name. That is what is the key to which the Lord responds. So therefore, it is this feeling that matters whenever we are doing our work. Whichever duty, seva, whatever we are doing, it is a feeling that Bhagwan sees, because like he many times said, he is the Bhava Priya. He is not Bahya Priya, he is the Bhava Priya. So many instances happen like this, but one of the best incident, I remember a very powerful one which happened with us students. The students were putting up a drama, and in that drama, the role of Parikshit was there, where the king Parikshit, we all know, when he went into the forest on a hunt, he is very, very thirsty and he wants water, so he goes to a sage. Sage is deep in meditation. He doesn't respond to King Parikshit's request. King Parikshit is so upset that he takes a dead snake and puts it around the sage. Now, the role of the sage is very, very small in the entire drama, possibly maybe 1 to 2 minutes. King Parikshit's role was one of the senior roles. Lord Krishna's role was one of the senior roles. There were other characters in the drama who had plays and roles which were 20 minutes, half an hour, or all through the drama. The sage's role was only 1 minute. This King Parikshit's role was only for 1 minute. It was just a small instance we were basically trying to portray with something. So this King Parikshit's role, the boy who played it, he had to come to the stage only for 1 minute. Then generally after the dramas are over, Swami comes and talks to the boys, and some of the roles which the boys have played, he's so happy that he materializes something for them and blesses them. So everybody was thinking, okay, who will the ring or the chain come to this time? Parikshit, maybe Lord Krishna, Yudhishthira and all that. Swami called the role of this Parikshit boy and he gave him a ring. Chala ba chesav bangaru, chala santosham, he said. 1 minute, that's all. Everybody was surprised. Why among all the students, the singers were there who sings beautifully, they provide melodious background songs. Sometimes Swami is so thrilled with those songs. Swami calls them inside many times and actually tells them how to sing the songs also. Many artists were there, the senior, so-called senior artists who played the major roles, but his Parikshit role back the ring. And Swami praised him in public, Chala baga chesav bangaru. So some of us couldn't resist the thing, so students went and asked, what is it that Swami blessed you with, like this? Then that boy revealed the truth. The reason why we say that Swami is Bhava Priya, he had to play the role of King Parikshit, who is thirsty, so thirsty that his discrimination also has left him. He takes the snake and puts it around the sage's neck, something which he would never have done. But he was so burning with thirst that his discrimination had taken leave of him. So this person had to play that role. So what did he do? King Parikshit is supposed to be thirsty, right? So 24 hours before the role, he stopped taking water. He stopped taking water so that he could live that role. Then we asked, why did you do that? He said, sir, when do we get this opportunity to present in front of Swami again? We do not know. When I get it, I want to make sure that I give it my best. That is the feeling which Swami had responded to. Not that 1 minute role what he played. It is the bhava that he had responded to. Because he wanted to live and give his best to God. And that is why Bhagwan rewarded him with the ring, even though the others were this thing. And though this incident I'm going to share with you now, I have shared many times, but I will repeat it any number of times because it's perhaps one of the most powerful lessons in my life even now is from this particular incident what I'm telling you about. How much Swami admires the feeling with which we discharge our duties and our responsibilities. So in 1986, the Vice Chancellor's Conference was going on in Puttaparthi. And in that conference, Swami had selected some students and faculty members to look after the Vice Chancellors. Over 80 Vice Chancellors were coming. So the students, and there were 9 of us students and 4 faculty members who were looking after them. Among them, Professor Jagan Mohan Rao. I mean, you just cannot admire what a personality he was. One of the greatest soul that Bhagwan lifted and made sure we studied under. There's so much we learned from this sadhaka, this bhakta of the Lord. He was put in charge of 2 of us, and all 3 of us were shunted to the above the hill. Sai Srinivasa guest house is there now. In those days, there was just an old guest house there. So the keynote speakers of the conference were all being put up there, and Swami entrusted us that responsibility. So we went up the hill, the 3 of us. The rest of all the rooms were inside the ashram, so they were all within the ashram only. No mobile phones in those days. So any message had to come, people had to run up the hill or run down the hill, one of the way only. Otherwise, there are no phones. So just that evening, the guests were supposed to arrive. Tomorrow, the inauguration was supposed to take place. And at around 10 o'clock, immediately after the morning bhajans, we suddenly got message that Swami had called all the students and faculty involved with this seva to the Purnachandra auditorium. And immediately we 2 boys, students, we pushed our things down and we ran there. Professor Jagan Mohan Rao called us back. Where are you going? He said, sir, Swami is giving interview. It seems we heard, we want to attend that. Then he made us sit down. That's the beauty of this gentleman. He was not upset. He said, I will just tell you one thing, Bangaru. After that, you decide what you wish to do. See, the main guests of the conference are coming to this place. And Swami had entrusted you and I to look after them. With so much of work pending here, if you decide to go to the interview and this work is not done, the guests who are going to come will not get a proper treatment, and it is Swami's name that will get spoiled. So when the work assigned by Bhagwan is pending here, do you think it is wise for you to go and have interview, which is your selfish reason? The way he said it was so beautiful. We said, no sir, you are right. We will stay back, we will finish our work, and then if Swami is still giving interview, we will go. Obviously, it was 11:30 and Swami had stopped the interview long back and he had gone. But the gentleman, Professor Jagan Mohan Rao Garu, the way he told it to us, we felt it was Swami himself talking to us. We never regretted that we missed the interview. We were young students at that time. Every interview meant a lot for us in those days. So we never felt bad because we felt, no, we did what Swami asked us to do. We discharged our duty. Swami will take care of the interview later. We didn't know how soon he would take care of it. So evening, around 8 o'clock, we were expecting the first guests to arrive. We were making sure last minute arrangements were going on. And bed sheets, this side, pillows, transfer, this side, that side, we were going. Evening bhajans were 6 to 6:30 in those days. And 6:25, just 5 minutes before the bhajan, I was running. The main entrance of the guest house is here. One wing is this side, one wing is this side. So Professor Jagan Mohan Rao and the other student were on this side. I was running with a bunch of pillows and bed sheets covering me fully like this. I was running from this side to that side. I was passing the main door when right at the entrance I saw 2 beautiful small feet with an orange robe on them. This was 6:25 in the evening. Swami is never known to, especially when Aarati is at 6:30, Swami is never known to go out at 6:25, but he was there. I thought I was dreaming. So I just peeped like this to see who was there, and Swami was peeping from this side to see who was behind. So he said, Are Nuva, he said. I dumped the pillows there and I said, Swami, and I stood like this. Where are the others, he said. And Swami, they are that side. Call them. And in those days we didn't have these Neel Kamal plastic chairs and all. Old, rusted, iron chairs, folding chairs. He pulled one of those and sat on them. I didn't even have time to clean. So I was telling Swami, I'll clean it. Parle dunchu, he said. Then we go and call them. So I called the other two. They were also pleasantly surprised. 6:30, 6:35, 6:40. People there are in confusion. Should we give Aarti? Is Swami coming back? Bhajans are going on. Swami is least bothered. He's sitting here and is talking like as if he had all the time in the world. And we also didn't bother to see the time because it was such bliss. Just the three of us in the evening and Swami is sitting on an iron chair talking to us. Then he told, finally he seemed to decide that enough. And he said, Bhajan అయిపోతుంది ఇక్కడ ఆరతి ఇస్తారు నేను వెళ్తాను ఇంకా, he said. Then he was about to go Padnamaskaran Swami, we said. Then we were about to take Padnamaskar. He said, ఎందుకు వచ్చానో తెలుసా? Do you know why I came? Why would anybody bother asking such a question? The very God has come, and you're enjoying his proximity. You never ask, Swami, why did you come? But he asked, ఎందుకు వచ్చానో తెలుసా? And we just stared at him. We were still lost in bliss. And then comes the beauty. A lesson which even now I remember. Then Swami said, morning I was giving interview in Ponchandra Auditorium to the boys and faculty members. I didn't see the three of you. I asked them and they said, Swami, they're busy settling things there because the first guests are arriving. Morning you couldn't come to me, Kada Bangaru. So evening I came to you. What do you say to this? In Telugu there is a song, Nanupalimpaga nadachi vachitiva, Moralalimpaga nadachi vachitiva. To grace me, you walked all the way from Vaikunta. Where are we? What are we? But he did. Because he was not looking at us. He was looking at the effort which we made. And the person who made it responsible, whom Swami chose as a channel, was this Professor Jagan Mohan Rao. A person whom I will never forget because he was responsible. He spoke through this gentleman and because of that we did this and we got this boon. When people below, they heard that Swami had actually come to talk to us, they were shocked. They said, Swami never goes out like this, but he did. For him, rules won't matter. Time won't matter. Environment won't matter. If he decides to grace us, he will come wherever we are. But most importantly is the dynamic message he was giving. You do your sincere duty, it becomes your punyam. Duty is for our earning a livelihood, which is required. But seva is for punyam. Seva is what gives us punyam. Duty doesn't give us punyam. Until that duty is done with a sincerity as an offering to God, then it becomes seva once again. Now, this is a beautiful lesson. Swami said, that's the greatness of Kuru Punya Mahoratrim. All the time, let us do the goodness with our activities, with whatever we are doing. Let us chant the name of God and let us do it all the time. It is all the time smaran, 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 which is what brings us to the fourth one. Smaranityam anityatam. Think about the temporary one and the permanent one all the time. So if we are 24 hours working and thinking of Lord's name, chanting God's name, it becomes that smaran all the time. We are already thinking of God, so the fourth one also is satisfied. So these four Mahamantras are basically the one which we have to follow. If we have to obey the Lord's command, obey His mantra, and basically experience the bliss of the Lord. I remember once in Kodaikanal, Bhagavan was speaking to the students, and one of the students asked him a very pertinent question. He said, Swami, what is the greatest sadhana according to you? So some of us thought, it must be, practice love, tell the truth, do your duty sincerely, do seva, everything. But Swami didn't say any of these. He said the greatest sadhana, Swami said, is obeying the Lord's command. Obeying the Lord's command, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Obeying the Lord's command, Swami said, is the greatest sadhana which we can do. Easier said than done. Many times we would like to listen to him, but there is a big dog, Alsatian dog, that is blocking us from opening the gates and approaching the master, and that is Maya. It was introduced by my brother, that I had the proximity of Bhagwan, but trust me, I never got relief from this Maya. Perhaps I was bombarded the most by it. There were times when I kicked myself and I cursed myself now because the chances that I missed, because I thought that I was the one who was doing. I failed to realize at those crucial moments that it was Bhagwan who was making me do it. I failed to realize that I had to grant him the humility. I had to bow to him with gratitude because he was the one who was choosing me to do it. That is the power of Maya. The late Radhakrishna sir, who was the Saradhi of Swami, if I may use that word, who stayed with Swami for so many years, 22 years to be exact, who looked after Swami's physical body when Swami's body was very young. Once we asked him, sir, what is the greatest difficulty you face when you are serving Swami, and he told us it is the Maya around him. Staying with Swami and serving Swami is not easy. It is like playing with fire. You have to know the correct distance of how much to approach him. Too close, we will burn. Too far, we will not get the warmth. That is the difficulty with Bhagwan. But that is also our sadhana. And any difficulty we get, we just have to look to him. He's sitting there with that smile, with that beautiful aura around him. We will immediately get inspired to repeat once again and learn. So therefore, this power of Maya is very, very crucial. We have to follow and understand what it means. You would like to listen to what Bhagavan says and do the greatest sadhana possible, but many times we fail because we don't sense that voice. We listen to the voice of Bhagavan's body, but we don't listen to his voice which is coming from inside us, and we make the mistake. I remember once one of my brothers was telling me, sir, that electrifying incident of yours, something. I said, I'm going to narrate it today also. When 1990, that super specialty hospital at Puttaparthi was being constructed, chandeliers were coming from all over the world, which Swami would select and tell, put this chandelier here, put this chandelier here, put this one there. So every chandelier that you see in the Puttaparthi hospital is because Swami has instructed that it should be placed there. That was the care Swami took. So how we used to do was, Swami would first see the chandelier and then tell where it has to go. How would he see is the question. So boys who were inside, we had a very innovative way of doing it. We had 2 wooden bamboo poles like this, and in between we would put one more bamboo pole. And from that, every chandelier, if you notice, has a central stem around which the other parts are added or screwed in one by one. So we would hang the central stem from that pole, and we would start building the chandelier. And then we would wait behind the Ponchandra auditorium stage. Swami would come and he would see and he would tell, okay, this chandelier you put here, this chandelier you put here. That day, 7 o'clock generally in the evening, Swami would retire to his rooms and he would generally not be available to anyone. Exactly 1 minute or so before that, one chandelier came. So the boys who were inside, we thought, see, if we start assembling this now, Swami is going to his room, will be delayed. Let us do it tomorrow morning, we'll show it to tomorrow morning. Otherwise, Swami has to stay back just for this thing's sake. So we quickly zipped it across and put it, but Swami's eyes were very sharp. Yemira Adi, he said. What is that? He was sitting somewhere far away. What is that? So then we didn't tell Swami anything. Swami said, chandelier achinda. Did the chandelier come? We said, yes, Swami. Then why didn't you assemble it? Again we were silent. Because there are certain things you don't explain to Swami because we know that he knows. So then why didn't you assemble it? Again we looked at Swami. He said, Nak late aipotundana. Because you think I am getting late. He said, yes, Swami. I will wait for 10 minutes. Is it okay? You assemble it, he said. I will wait for 10 minutes. You assemble the chandelier and we will do it. So we quickly ran and we started assembling. Brother Dilip was there. So then I got a brainwave. Mine is a physics background, so we are known for those atrocious brainwaves once in a while. So I told him, I got a brainwave. He said, what? See, let us not delay Swami's departure, because he's getting delayed. Instead of tying it to that pole, this is a small chandelier, isn't it? So I will hold the stem in my hand and you build it around me. Brilliant idea, Dilip said. By the time we tie it to the pole, it will take 10 minutes. So if I hold it in my hand, on the other hand, this is just a 10 minutes job. We'll finish it. Then I held it like this. We were starting building. Swami came out in between. His work was still going on. So he said, Emira Inda, is it done? I said, no, Swami, we will do it in a short while. Then he went and then he came back. Idi chetulo pattukune badalu akkada katteste better kada, he said. Means instead of holding it in your hand, if you tie it to that pole, it is better, isn't it? So the first warning sign. Comes a suggestion, but at the end comes the keyword, isn't it? He leaves it to you still to decide. So I said, no, Swami, the time is running out, so I will hold it, it is okay. Ni ishtam, your wish. And he went off. The second warning, but I couldn't catch it. Then went away. After 5 minutes, he came again. Emira Ainda. I said, Swami, inkokka 2 నిమిషాలు అయిపోతుంది. Again he warned me. చేతిలో పట్టుకున్నావు కదా బంగారు, దాన్ని అక్కడ కట్టేస్తే బాగుంటుంది కదా. I said, అయిపోయింది స్వామి, ఇంకో 2 నిమిషాలే. This time, నీ ఇష్టం. He even raised his hand and went. Still I couldn't get the hint. Third time when he came, I was holding it. Everything was ready. Like this, I was holding it proudly. Swami came. Ainda Swami. Edi veyandi switch. So they put on the switch. Light came on and I started dancing. Because I was getting electrocuted here. I was dancing like this, and Dilip is looking at me. What happened to this fellow? Chiranjeevi Rao was looking at it. Till now he was fine. What happened to him? Swami was the only one who understood. Trust me, he collapsed in the chair, laughing till tears came out of his eyes. Just laughing, laughing, laughing. And between that laughter, he said, switch you, he said. Then Dilip understood what is happening and he switched off. I had the good sense to give the chandelier to Dilip and then I collapsed. I saved the chandelier. Swami was laughing, laughing and pointing at me and laughing. And then he said, ఇంకొకసారి నేను చెప్పింది వింటే నీకే మంచిది. ఇంకొకసారి, that means second time also I am going to bound to make this mistake. నేను చెప్పింది వింటే, the choice is still mine whether I choose to listen to him or not. నీకే మంచిది. Next time when I tell you something, if you listen to me, it is good for you only. That is the Maya which builds around all of us. Because I thought that, of course I was thinking for the good of Swami, but possibly that is why Swami decided to save me. It is not out of my selfish interest, but the fact still remains when that the Almighty Himself was telling you, do this, I still chose to ignore Him. So that shock treatment was required for me. So therefore, now this is the power of Maya, because we many times we miss this thing with Him and we go on to do what we think is the right one. Because like I said, I always believe the physical voice of Swami has to merge with the inner voice of Swami which is coming from within. This is the voice that is actually telling us what is right, not the voice that is speaking outside. That voice will tell us, but the real message from Swami always comes from within us. If we open our heart, the correct significance of what Swami is saying also syncs with what we have in our own heart. If that synchronization is not there, we will interpret Swami's statements in whichever way we wish, not in the way which Swami wanted us to understand it. So it's very, very important that we should always watch and guard ourselves against this Maya. So, like Swami said many times, I told you about that all-session dog called Maya. Why did I use that? Once Swami was speaking to the students, he said, see, God is like the owner of the house. He is in an elevated position, he is in the balcony. And he has tied a big all-session dog called Maya at the gate. So when you come to go and meet God, there are only two ways. That all-session dog won't let us go and meet God. Maya is like that. When we first decide that I wish to go and meet Bhagwan, to merge with him, Maya will invariably obstruct us. That's its job. So the all-session dog will obstruct you. So how do you get over this? Swami said there are only two ways. Number one, you try to win over the dog by giving it some snack or something like that. But there is a problem. Maya is a very loyal dog. Whatever you do, it will never, never, never bend to you. So our individual effort alone is not sufficient. So what should you do? You have to call out, Ayya, I have come to see you, please catch your dog. Then the owner comes down, takes the dog, puts his hand around us and takes us in. When the dog sees that the master knows the stranger, the dog will keep quiet. It will move aside. That is how the Maya should be won, Bhagwan always used to tell. What is it? Do your work, but also chant God's name all the time. When you chant God's name, He is there with us all the time. And when that happens, Maya will never come around us at any time. So that is the power of Maya, and that is how Bhagwan said we are supposed to basically get over this. I would like to say, after following all these words of Bhagwan, these 4 Mahavakyas that we talked about, how do we basically, what is the award that we get at the end? So this award is something very significant. This award is basically that of being called as Swami's own. Many times Swami used to tell, it is not enough if you tell me that you are my devotee. I have to say that you are my devotee. I have to accept you. You can go around claiming whatever you wish. I cannot go around claiming that I am George Bush. People have to recognize me. George Bush has to tell that this person is my equivalent. So similarly, Bhagwan always used to say, you cannot go on telling that you are my devotee, you are my devotee, and you are my devotee, and you want to merge with me and all that. I have to accept you as my devotee. So being told by Bhagwan that this person is my own, he is mine, is the greatest gift we can get. And that will automatically follow when the before whatever we discussed just now happens. Because when we have God with us, the game of life is easily won. Some of you in this audience may be knowing the beautiful incident which Miss Geeta Mohan Ram once told. When she was a small child, Swami used to regularly come to her house. Her parents were very great devotees of Bhagwan. So Swami would come to their house and all the children would be asked to get out and sit in a room upstairs so that they wouldn't disturb the gathering which is taking place down. So what would happen was these children would sit in a room upstairs and they would play some games, so that they don't get bored and make sure basically that they do not come down. So one time these children were sitting up and they were playing snakes and ladders. And all of a sudden the door opened and Swami walked in. Swami was very young in those days and he walked in. So these children jumped up. Swami asked, "What are you doing?" So the children said, "Swami, we are playing snakes and ladders. Can I play with you?" And children said, "No. Every time you play, you win. So we don't want you to play with us." No, he said, no, this time I won't do anything. I will play normally. So they started playing. The game went on and on. At the end of the game, Swami made a very powerful statement. By the time some elders also had gathered around, then Swami was in general talking. He said, "Do you know what is the significance of this game of snakes and ladders? See, every time you play, you will get ladders and you will rise up. But you will also get snakes and you will come down. So up and down, you will go on and on. This is life. It will have its ups, it will have its downs. But as long as you have the dice in your hand, someday you will definitely win. Dice is like God. So if you have God with you, then you will go over these ups and downs in life and one day you will definitely reach your goal. So having God with us is so significant. And how do we get God with us? He has to tell us that you are mine. And how do we make God tell that? By doing these four, what we just thought. So this is a very important fact. Retain God with us at any point of time. Make us feel always that we are one with Him. We are so close to Him and victory is surely going to be ours. I would like to conclude basically with a discourse which Bhagwan gave in Kulwant. This was I think in 1996. A very beautiful statement he said. The English language has 26 letters. Only 26 letters, alphabets. But using these 26 letters only, we can do anything. You can write a poem that will make your heart sing with the beauty of it. You can write a book that will give you hours of company and teach you great things. You can give a talk that will make hundreds of people listen and enjoy and get inspired. You can curse people, you can praise people, you can do anything you wish, only with these 26 letters. You can write a volume which can fill an entire library, but again with only 26 letters. In the same way, if you have just two things, I had just told before this that God should tell us that you are mine, but something even more powerful was made by Bhagwan in this discourse. So he said in these 26 letters, you can write books that can fill an entire library. Similarly, if there are only two things you do, God becomes your puppet. You can make Him play how you wish. It is not God telling us you are mine. He is ready to become our puppet with just two things. So what are these two things is a very big question. And that is love and surrender. Said love and surrender. Now surrender is very easy, like just now I told you, but when we surrender, actually we do it only because we have love for Him. We trust, like how a child trusts a mother, we trust that Bhagwan will take over our responsibilities and do good and show us the path when we surrender to Him. One of the greatest lessons of surrender, I will just narrate that incident and I will stop, was the late President of India, Professor Shankar Dayal Sharma. When we had come to Prashanti Nilayam, convocation, he was the chief guest, and we were looking after him inside the Purnachandra Auditorium, guest house, he was there. And after Swami's discourse and the formal convocation was over, Swami came back with the guests so that they can freshen up. And for the drama which the students were going to put up, he would go back once again. And during this drama in between, rain started. So Swami sent word through Mr. Narayan, who was the secretary at that time. He sent word, please tell the Honorable President that, he need not come because it is raining. So Mr. Shankar Dayal Sharma was seated there. Now, he was such a gentleman that even though we were supposed to serve him, he would never let us serve him. He said, you are Swami students, I cannot let you serve me. I have people who are employed to do that. They will serve me. You sit with us and talk about Swami. So he would make us sit with him, the President of India, and on a chair, and he would ask us about Swami. And he said, Mr. Narayan came and he said, sir, Swami has said that because it is raining, you need not come. He was such a sharp devotee. He said, what is Swami doing? Then he said, so, sir, I don't know. But I think he is going. He said, no, if Swami is going, rain or not, even I am going. So after 10 minutes, Mr. Colonel Jogarao came this time. He came and he said, sir, Bhagwan has sent a message, Your Excellency, that because it is raining, you need not come. And he said, but is Swami going? Then Colonel Jogarao said, yes, sir, he is going. In fact, he is getting ready. Then he got up immediately and he said, Bhagwan jaye or hum na jaye? God is going and I shouldn't go, rain or no rain, if he is going, even I am going. And then when he went, Swami saw him coming from far and Swami walked up and received him. Held his hand and made him walk. Put him in the car and then he went. And then after they returned, Mr. S.D. Sharma told me what conversation happened in the car with Swami. Then he told Swami, Swami, when it is raining, you are telling me not to come, but why are you going? And Swami made such a beautiful statement. He said, for more than a month, my students have forgotten their food, sleep and rest. They were getting blasted by the teachers for missing their classes and their assignments. But they stuck to only one thing, that this program should come out well and Swami should tell us, Bangaru chala baga chesaru. More than a month they were doing this just to hear that one word. And with so much of interest and so much of Shraddha, if they are doing it, whether it is raining or not going, it is that power of love that is attracting me to them. I have to go. Then Professor Mr. S.D. Sharma told us, you students are so lucky. We wouldn't know anybody else for whom Swami would do this. So this is a very powerful thing. The love that we have for Bhagwan has to show, not in our words, it has to show in our heart. It has to show in our actions. And the best way to do that is, we just have to have love and surrender, number one. And number two, we just have to follow what Swami has said. What has Swami said? So much of literature is available. There is so much which each one of us can absorb and digest as suitable to our own life. Because we have to charter the course of how to go to Bhagwan. So each one will have his or her own lesson. There is no one single lesson for everyone. There are different lessons from the same situation for everyone. Just to go on a lighter note, I'll conclude with one incident. A very, very funny one, but a very powerful one. But I just said that each one of us has to charter our own course. And therefore, the lesson will be different for different people. It may be the same book, it may be the same discourse, it may be the same experience. But what we learn from that is different from different people. Because each one of us has our own problems. I remember once the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Chenna Reddy, had come to have Bhagwan's darshan. And Swami sent two of us to look after him. And whenever a powerful politician comes, there are so many others who flock to him, for some petty benefits and all that. So Mr. Chenna Reddy had gone into the guest house and one leader, he came and there was a massive banging on the Ponchandra auditorium door. So loud that we thought the door is going to come out. I didn't open the door. I went to the second door and I opened it. I saw this gentleman there and there were two Sevadal who were pleading with him. Said, don't knock like that. Please don't knock like that. And he was just brushing them. I said, Epo, Ninevaro Telida, do you know who I am? How dare you stop me? And the Sevadal saw me and they said, sir, he is not listening. So I went and asked, sir, what can I do for you? And the best thing is he had his slippers on. He had not even removed his slippers. So then he said, open the door, I have to go in and meet the Chief Minister. I said, sir, the Chief Minister is resting. Please sit down in the ante-room. I will let him know the moment he opens the door and tell, who are you to stop me? I know the Chief Minister very well. Move aside. And he barged into the Ponchandra auditorium with his slippers on still. I was aghast. So I ran after him and I told him, sir, this is the place where Bhagavan walks. Please remove your chappals and come in at least. He said, you move aside. He was very curt with me. He said, you move aside. And he continued walking. The second boy, then I told him, sir, at least give me your slippers. I will put it outside. You continue. He said, don't talk to me, go. And all this was being seen by the second student who was working with me, and he was a hefty person. So he was standing near the door, inner door, and he was waiting like this. So he came and he bumped into him. Hey, Tapko, he said. And this person saw what was happening and he told only once, sir, will you remove your slippers and come, or shall I complain to the chief minister about what you are doing? Now that shook him. His political career is gone if the chief minister knows that he's behaving in Bhagwan's place like this. So he ran out and removed his chappals and came. Over. And, 2 days later, we were sitting for darshan. Now this person, the second brother, was a singer. So he was sitting inside the bhajan hall. We were sitting outside. Now, as you very well know in Prashantanilayam, outside people cannot see what is happening inside. Inside people cannot see what is happening outside. So about 10 minutes before the bhajan was supposed to start, Swami came. Colonel Chibbar was sitting there and he was learning Telugu. I was teaching him what little Telugu I knew. And Swami said, "Em Chibbar, em chestunnau?" "Swami, I am learning Telugu. Sainath is teaching me." "You will never get Telugu. He's a Calcutta boy. He doesn't know Telugu." My eyebrows went up and then came down again. Because I didn't know when I was a Calcutta boy till now, until Swami told me. So maybe he is referring to some other life, we don't know. But then I just kept quiet. Then Swami looked at Chibbar and a few elders there and he said, "You know, something very interesting happened a couple of days back. Channa Reddy had come." He said, "Yes, Swami, we had seen him. "Do you know something very interesting happened?" Then he looked at me and he said, "Chapra." I said, "What interesting thing?" I was trying to this thing. Then I looked at Swami like that. And Swami said, Chepulu. Slippers. I said, "Slippers, so interesting." I said, then he said, "Chapra, parvaledu." So then I told Swami, like this it happened. "Nuven chesav?" I said, "Swami, I folded my hands and I told him, 'Sir, please give me your slippers. I will keep it outside.'" Swami said, "Chusava, మన పిల్లలు ఎంత మంచివాళ్ళు, ఎంత వినమ్రంగా మాట్లాడతారు, ఎంత హ్యూమిలిటీ, with what humility they speak." He was ready to even take his slippers. My collar started going up immediately. Then he crashed me down. He said, "But Bangaru, I will tell you one thing. అందరితో అలా సౌమ్యంగా మాట్లాడితే నేను అప్పడం తిన్నట్టు తినేస్తారు. If you talk so politely and humbly to everybody, they will swallow you. Once in a while you should speak with kathoram, with raudram, with anger and with power. You should speak once in a while, otherwise it won't work for you." I said, "Swami, nice." He went inside. Drama part 2. He went inside and these poor people inside didn't know one thing what happened outside. He came inside and he said, some elders were seated there for bhajans. "You know, something very interesting happened." "What happened, Swami?" "2 days back, Channa Reddy was here." "Yes, Swami, we saw him." He said, "You know, something very interesting happened." He looked at this boy and said, "Chipra." He also was confused. What to tell? Then he said, Cheppulu gurinchi." So he told everything to Swami. "Nuven chesav? What did you do?" "Swami, I was very upset. I told him, 'Will you go out and remove your slippers, or shall I complain to the chief minister about your arrogance?' And that person was very this thing. Swami ran and removed his chappals. Chusava ma pillalu enta manchi vallo. They know when they have to talk roughly and toughly to people and get the work done. That is why I give them so much of my love." He also started floating immediately. Swami crashed him down once again. "Kaani Bangaru, neeku okati cheptanu." "What, Swami?" "Antharto ala raudranga paurushanga maatladte neeto evaru sarigga maatladru. If you talk to everyone like this, no one will talk to you. Some once in a while you should also speak with politeness, softness and all." Later on when we compared notes, we saw that the same incident, 2 different lessons, but that is what each of us needed. Swami had to tell me that I had to be firm. This lesson was given this summary for me. That person had to be told it is not all right to speak always like that. You should be humble. That lesson was given to that person. But it was the same incident. So this is the beauty of the experience. So when we hear people tell us about experiences and about teachings of Bhagwan, it is good. That is material for us to do mananam. But please remember, the conclusion of X need not be the same as conclusion of Y. X has some problems. X has a path which he or she has selected. Y has selected some other path. Their goal may be the same. So depending on the path, we have to select the vehicle. So the interpretation of different people will be different in Swami's teachings. The best interpretation will come only from us, for ourselves. We cannot depend on somebody else to interpret things and tell us, this is what Swami meant, that is what Swami meant. We can at best share our experience with others and tell us this is what happened, this is what we feel. We have to do that sadhana for ourselves. We have to derive what we want from what we have heard for ourselves, primarily because each one has a different path to choose. We have our own compulsions, we have our own responsibilities. So we have to select what is best for us, all the time ensuring that the vision is very much the same for all of us. So with these words of what little experience I can have with Bhagwan, I am very, very happy I shared with you. I wish to be very grateful to my alumni brothers who made this possible. I could come and I could get this opportunity to partake in the bliss of sharing these experiences of Bhagwan with all of us. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering our most loving pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Sir Swami often says that saying thank you is very worldly. So we express our heartfelt gratitude on behalf of Sundaram, the alumni, and Samarpan. And we humbly request Shri TGK sir to kindly felicitate our speaker for the day, Dr. Sainath.